fortune. Gotta walk through fire for what's important. And the warrior's blood through your veins is coursing.
He goes outside. He's got Ledford with him. Chris Blassie is going to win it at the line here in Daytona.
Every move, take your shot, don't be a fool. All you got and all you ever need is one bullet in the chamber. Please take your aim. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you gonna do? One bullet in the chamber. Breathe easy, take your aim, boy. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you gonna do? Now the whole world's watching every move. Take your shot, don't act the fool. All you got and all you ever
He's
need.
going to drive up into him. Can Kuntz hang on to it off the corner? Kuntz gets it.
It's one bullet in the chamber. Breathe easy, take your aim, boy. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you gonna
Drivers side by side coming out of turn 4. Rapp at the 52 on the outside. The 99 to the inside. Rapp's going to win it at Auto Club.
So what you gonna do?
If it's Tuesday, that means it's the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome everybody, I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth tonight by Chris Smith. We're bringing you live racing action in the NASCAR trucks from Pocono Raceway for the UD Awards 175. Known as the Tricky Triangle by some and the Bermuda Triangle by others, Pocono Raceway stands out as a truly unique venue. Nestled in the Pocono Mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania, this 2.5-mile triangle boasts 3 distinct turns connected by straightaways of varying lengths. Turn 1 features a 14-degree bank. Turn 2, also known as the tunnel turn, is banked at 8 degrees, and Turn 3 is just 6 degrees. The main straightaway holds the record as the longest on any North American track, spanning 3,740 feet. The Long Pond straightaway extends for over 3,000 feet between turns 1 and 2, while the stretch from turn 2 to turn 3 is a mere 1,780 feet. Pocono Raceway opened its doors for the first time in 1969, featuring a 3/4-mile oval. That 2.5-mile speedway was completed in 1971, quickly becoming a host for one of the crown jewels in IndyCar racing's Triple Crown of 500-mile races. Local hero Mario Andretti faced off against legends like Foyt, Unser, Rutherford, and Gordon Johncock in USAC-sanctioned IndyCar races. NASCAR also made its mark at Pocono from the early days, with Richard Petty securing a victory in NASCAR's first Pocono 500 in 1974. This unique configuration places special demands on both drivers and engineers. Just because you're doing well in one corner doesn't mean you're going to be doing well in another. Chris, Pocono Raceway actually installed, fun fact for tonight, 40,000 photovoltaic modules at the track in 2010. And upon completion of the project, Pocono became the largest solar-powered sports facility in the world. The project is going to produce over 72 million kilowatt hours of energy over the next 20 years. Tonight is sure to be electric on the track. But Chris, what will drivers have to do in order not to get too amped up out there tonight?
Well, the Pocono Raceway is all about compromise. This track has got, as you mentioned, it's a geographical oddity. It's got 3 different corners, 3 different linked straightaways, and drivers are going to have to compromise possibly in one in order to be better in the other. Turn 1 is modeled after a speedway in Trenton, New Jersey. Turn 2, the tunnel turn, as it's more affectionately known as, is actually modeled after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Turn 3 after Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mile. So this track is all about compromise. It's all about trying to, gain as much speed and have as much speed as you can possibly have in all of these different corners. And drivers are going to have to be on top of their game tonight with these trucks. We'll talk a little bit more about momentum when we come back after the national anthem, but that's going to play a key role with these things tonight. Drivers have about 30 laps on a tank of fuel, so we expect at least 2 stops here tonight. Race distance of 70 laps, about 37 trucks here, so a great field. And we'll talk a little bit more about shifting when we come back. It's going to be interesting to see what drivers decide to do. Maybe coming out of turn 3, or going into turn 3, I should say. Will they decide to start shifting later on in the run?
Absolutely. We're going to answer that question. Speaking of shifting gears, let's go ahead and shift gears quickly to a Slingshot fan favorite in pre-race, the playing of the national anthem. So everyone, if able, please rise and remove your caps for the Star-Spangled Banner. We'll be back on the other end. All right, you are looking live at Long Pond, Pennsylvania. We're at Pocono Raceway for the UD Awards 175 for Slingshot Racing League and the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith in the booth. Tonight, we've got a lot of action planned on the track, but we've got some action off the track here during the broadcast for you fans who are watching. 2 special programs that we've got underway. One including is going to be an all-season program we're calling the Fast 5 contest presented by Hank Thomas Performance. We're excited to bring this back after a couple seasons of absence. It's a fun social media giveaway. All you have to do is guess who you think the top 5 finishers in the race is going to be that week. We'll post a post on our Facebook and our Instagram pages. All you have to do is go comment your top 5 picks. Get it done by lap 20 in the race, and it's valid either on Facebook or our Instagram. You do need to make sure that you follow both Slingshot Racing League on whatever platform you're on, as well as Hank Thomas Performance. They'll be tagged in the post so you won't have trouble finding them. And each week we actually give you power rankings, kind of the top 12 drivers based on finishing position, speed during the races, laps led, positions gained, all factor into that equation we use to develop those power rankings. So we give you a little bit of a hint each week, but feel free to throw a wild card in there based on what you're seeing. And you have until lap 20 to put in your guesses, and they do have to be in the perfect order. So help us show some love to our partners at Hank Thomas Performance, and help us spread the word about this contest. We're looking forward to giving away some money. It starts out at $10 prize fund, and each week we don't have a winner. We add $5 all the way up to $75 at the end of the season. So there's potential for someone to take home a lot of money here, Chris. Great opportunity. You know, neither one of us can guess, but, you know, we'll be making our guesses probably throughout the race based on who we see running well. Another giveaway that we're doing tonight during the broadcast, just for our fans watching the broadcast, we're giving away a 1/64th scale Kurt Busch diecast from 2022. It is a next-gen car. All you have to do, if you're watching the chat, let us know you're here. Participate in the chat. Say hi. Tell us what driver you're rooting for. It's as easy as that. We'll pick a random winner from the comments in the YouTube chat tonight. So we couldn't be more excited to do that giveaway. And part of that giveaway is a bit of an apology for last week because we had so many technical difficulties on our end the second half of the race. Hopefully we're back in full force tonight. But just in case you missed it, Chris, let's jump back to what happened last week at Auto Club in the season opener. It was a wild one, that last lap. Let's just go ahead and play a quick replay montage of multiple camera angles for all the folks who missed it at home, and then we can briefly talk about it before we get cranking tonight.
It's beast mode time, so go hard or go home. I'm a beast. Yeah, I got it on my mind. See, I came here to shine, so let's get it on the grind. Yeah, I'm back with a vengeance, and I'm in it to win it. I'm going Popeye up in here. I muscle up with my sentence. Excuse my moment of rage. You let the beast out the cage. I'm like a fine wine, boy. I just get better with age. Only get stronger with time. I never crack under pressure. I'm here to give it my all, cause all I got is my effort. Man, I'm hungry for victory. Man, I'm ready to feast. So say hello to my little friend, also known as the beast. I got the eye of the tiger. I'm in my beast mode now.
All right, so you saw that was an epic finish last week. Josh Ward taking home the win in thrilling fashion, passing Aaron Smith down the backstretch into turn 3. Ward finished first, Smith finished second, Justin Wilson finished third. So 2 former champions there in the top 3. Josh Ward going to be looking to go back-to-back here to open up the first 2 races of this season. Season 6 for Slingshot Racing League. Chris, that is kind of one of the first stories we're going to talk about, but what stories will we be keeping an eye on tonight? I know our fans love to have a little bit of a setup for the race, so the stories we're going to be keeping an eye on, this is the first time we've raced at Pocono in Slingshot Racing League, so some of these drivers' experience might not quite be what it is at other tracks. What does that mean for the racing we see tonight, Chris?
It's just, a lot of uncertainty probably. A lot of these guys have done laps around here in official iRacing sessions before, but this is their first time racing around each other here at Pocono, so it brings a little bit of uncertainty. You start to get an idea of who is good at what types of tracks, at certain venues, and nobody really knows that going in here. Obviously, you can probably count on your usual suspects to be super, super quick, but just brings a lot of uncertainty, and it's such a weird track anyway that you don't really know what to expect.
You don't know what to expect, but I think certainly we are going to see some aggressive racing throughout the field, especially early on in runs after the green flag and after restarts. You got to take care of yourself at the end. I think there's a temptation to try to pick up spots very quickly and early, but that's going to get you into danger, specifically in the tunnel turn. Chris, talk to us about the difficulties of what's been noted by pretty much every driver we've talked to as the spot to watch tonight that maybe is the most difficult part of this track.
Well, the tunnel turn 2, is modeled after Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a very, very fast, pretty much flat corner where you just have to be extremely brave to go through there really as quick as you need to go through there. But if you miss your mark, it's very line sensitive. If you miss your mark by just a little bit, it absolutely destroys your momentum down the next straightaway that leads into turn 3. That's the shortest straightaway, but all these straightaways are long, even the shortest one. So it's going to absolutely destroy your momentum, and that's something that you don't want to have happen here. You want to be able to keep that momentum up and be able to get down to that next corner as quickly as you can.
And these next 2 final stories to follow kind of almost go hand in hand with this idea of the tunnel turn and not missing your mark. And that is kind of the racing we're going to see drivers engaging in to maybe potentially save fuel. One of the ways in which they can do that is drafting down the front straightaway. We know these trucks, due to the speed, due to the box of air that they essentially cut in the air, allowing the trucks to draft a little bit more easily. Are we going to see those things in play in terms of drafting down these long straightaways over the course of the evening?
Yeah, I think that if we get like a caution timed in a certain place, we could definitely see that. It seems like every single time real life NASCAR racing comes to Pocono, that there is some type of fuel mileage at play. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised at all if we see it here tonight. And you can definitely save yourself a lot of fuel here. This is one of the tracks, by drafting down the straightaway, also by engaging that clutch on entry to the corners, especially turn 1, turn 3. Those corners are really, really easy to try to save a lot of fuel on corner entry.
Absolutely. Definitely some strategy going to be setting up here as the race goes on. Chris, you mentioned it earlier, 70 laps tonight. Drivers are going to be looking for every single edge they can get. And I know they're going to be looking to beat drivers like Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, last week's winner, Josh Ward. Aaron Smith set a real fast lap time in qualifying. We talked last week about some of the championship favorites. Aaron Smith has to be up there, two-time slingshot racing champion. Justin Wilson also falling just short to Jacob Bradley last season. We're going to look at the starting grid here in a moment once this practice session, this warm-up session is over, but Aaron Smith is going to be your pole award winner starting on the pole for tonight. What that means for him, by winning the Evan Pienta Designs Pole Award, we're going to see that grid here in just a minute. He adds to his tally for the season, and the driver with the most pole awards at the end of the season is going to get a custom designed livery and paint scheme from Evan Pienta Designs, who does a lot of the logo work for our race logos that you see on the bottom of the screen each week. Tonight, you're looking at that beautiful UD Awards 175 logo. So, as these drivers get ready to grid up, we're going to take a look at the starting grid. We mentioned it earlier. Aaron Smith is going to be starting on the pole. Justin Wilson, should be no surprise, is going to be right behind him in second on the outside of row 1. Scotty Sobczak, that driver from California in that Pine Mountain Auto truck, going to be starting third in that red, white, and blue number 81. We mentioned Randy Bechtel, Chris. This is a driver I've got my eye on. Had a really good finish last week, 7th place. Ran really in the lead the first half of the race, Chris. Bechtel's showing some speed this season that we haven't seen out of him consistently over the past couple of seasons. He got the ball rolling at the end of the season last year. But Bechtel's back in full force in that number 51. And hey, better yet, this is his home racetrack here. Driver out of looking for the specific Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. So Bechtel going to be looking for a victory in front of the hometown crowd. Chris Pierce, that driver from Illinois, going to be starting in the Apex Energy truck back in 5th position. Thomas Coonan, good qualifying effort for the driver of that number 86. We saw him with a lot of speed last week, but he got caught up in a collision and ended up finishing 15th. Looking down in 7th, Jeremy Gardner on the inside of row 4, going to be starting in the Sim Racing Concepts Chevrolet in 7th position. Kyle Dewey, great qualifying effort, Chris, by Kyle Dewey in that number 33. Good to see him running in the top 10. Josh Ward, last week's winner in that blue and yellow truck, going to be starting 9th. Wesley Pistol, Tennessee Volunteers, Chris. We've seen qualifying be a bit of an issue for Pistol last season, but it looks like he's getting a little bit better as the season winds up and gets into full gear here in race number 2. Matt Kuntz, great effort for the driver of that number 13 truck, going to be starting 11th. Patrick Colby, 12th. Looking to see him rebound after a big wreck last week at Auto Club. Jamie Leach starting 13th. Dan Rose starting 14th. Jacob Bradley going to be starting 15th with Jacob Chase to his outside in row 8. The rest of that starting order is going to be scrolling across the screen. Chris, any kind of last-minute words of advice to these drivers going into lap 1 as the pace car gets ready to peel off? Green flag is out here at Pocono Raceway for the UD Awards 175. Aaron Smith's going to lead him across the line down into this high-speed, highly banked turn number 1. Scotty Sobczak not too far behind with Chris Pierce all the way up to 3rd on the inside on lap number 1. Big action going on. Cars 3 wide. Patrick Colby and a Kyle Dewey, Jacob Bradley sandwich. This is a battle for 9th back there. Smith in the yellow number 70 clear out in front, headed down into the tunnel turn. This is a big test for these drivers. We'll see if everyone can stick the landing into turn 2 and out of it. Right now, one driver on the outside further back, he's going to have to get out of the throttle. Everyone makes it through turn 2. Smith and Wilson set sights on turn 3. Wilson with a high approach down into turn 3. Aaron Smith's got it locked to that yellow line, looking to lead that first lap. But Wilson might have something to say about that with a run on the outside. He's not going to be able to beat him to the line, but he's going to make a race of it, headed down into 1, Chris. Good lap of racing that first time by. I think we might have some technical difficulties with Chris. I don't know if he's muted or I can't hear him. Hopefully.
Yeah, we have some issues right there, but I am back now. Sorry about that. Just had to
oh, no, you're good.
unplug and plug back in.
Wanted to make sure I wasn't talking to myself. That would have been tragic. Right now, single file racing, though. Justin Wilson is your leader. He snags that away from Aaron Smith in that Hank Thomas Performance 70. Meanwhile, it's a battle for third going on between Scotty Sobczak and Randy Bechtel. Battle for third. Bechtel really close to the back bumper of Scotty Sobczak, who draws up near the back bumper of Aaron Smith. Good racing amongst the top 7 here or so as the drivers head down into turn 3, looking to make another second lap here at Pocono.
Yeah, we look back right here at Randy Bechtel from the rear tailgate right here of Scotty Sobczak, and you saw what Pocono was all about on those opening laps. 3 wide down this long, wide front stretch. We'll see that all night if we have more restarts, but we might not have any more restarts. This place is also known for some long green flag racing.
We talked about the space that we're... Oh, Jacob Bradley loose off of turn 2. That was a close one. Slipped up right in front of Patrick Colby and Evan Pienta back in the 10th, 11th, and 12th position. We almost saw last season's champion have some issues here on lap 3. Throws a block on Evan Pienta down there into the corner. Close racing all around the track right now.
Yeah, we had... It looked like, he slid right up in front of Patrick Colby, got that truck loose, but, they're gonna get away with it, and... Yeah, it's just really, really tight right now because the effects of the draft are still pretty strong this early in the race with these trucks, as we got Jeremy Gardner looking to the inside of Thomas Coonan. He's maybe trying to take away that the 5th spot from the driver of the 86.
Now that driver, the number 86 Street Limit Racing truck, working the outside right now, but Gardner, who we've seen just really have a knack for working his way through the field, Chris, especially early. He's got a lot of short run speed right now, working on 5th place from Coonan, but man, this first 7, you could throw a blanket over them right now. Less than a second actually separates the top 8. So this is intense racing. Early on, lap 4 of 70, it's Wilson, Smith, Sobczak, Bechtel, Coonan, Gardner, Pearson, Ward are your top 8. As we watch Jeremy Gardner continue to work on the inside of that black and red machine, number 86 of Thomas Coonan, who's going to have that outside momentum coming on to the front straightaway here. Wilson's going to lead another lap, Chris. Another battle I'm watching, Jacob Bradley and Matt Kuntz. This is a battle for the 10th position.
Yeah,
Bradley looks to the inside.
Yeah, he's trying to peek to the inside out, turn 3 right there. Kuntz got a little bit more momentum on the exit of 3, but man, Jacob Bradley is going to drive it off into turn 1, and he's going to slide up in front of him, going to complete that pass. You got some options in turn 1, and that is definitely one way that you can complete the pass, as our defending Apex Energy Series champion is going to move up into the top 10 with that move.
Speaking of completing passes, Aaron Smith, I feel like might have been less than a sheet of paper off the back bumper of Justin Wilson, headed out down there into turn number 3, or turn number 1 rather. Sorry about that. That shows you just the amount of power that the draft has at the track there, that these drivers can just suck right up to the back bumper. We're probably going to see it here down the front straightaway. Watching Coonan make a pass here on trying to duck his nose out on Randy Bechtel, but literally there's less than a car length apart from the top 6, 7 right now, Chris, with Chris Pierce running in the 7th position of that Apex Energy machine, looking on board with Justin Wilson. That is a view that makes me a little anxious, to say the least.
Yeah, and right now we've got a second pack right here. It looks like there was a little bit of a gap between Chris Pierce and Josh Ward, but Josh Ward's bringing that group on up there. Josh Ward in the 8th spot, as Jacob Bradley's gotten around Kyle Dewey to move up into the 9th position. And in front of them, we got Jeremy Gardner. Gardner has completed the pass on Coonan. He'd been trying to get around the 86 for a few laps, but put Gardner now up into the top 5.
Yeah, one thing I'm starting to see from the driver, 2 cars in
contact
front
into the
of
wall
Gardner.
between Kyle, or not between, just Kyle Duty hit the wall coming out of turn 3, which is easy to do. He slid up there. Not sure how much damage he's... Oh, and he kind of doors.
Contact there with Matt Kuntz, opening the door for Kuntz, and I'm not sure if he was trying to maybe get a little side draft off the driver of that number 13 truck, but he's going to cede that position. That's going to open up the top 10 for Matt Kuntz. We're going to see him struggle off that corner. Kyle Dewey going to give him a bit of a push headed down into turn 2, that difficult tunnel turn. Kyle Dewey's going to have to be careful on the back number of that 13. We do see him give a little bit of space to Matt Kuntz headed down into that difficult corner, Chris, the tunnel turn right there.
Yeah, we got a battle right now going on for the 4th spot. Jeremy Gardner continues his march up through the field. He's looking to the inside of Randy Bechtel, but he is going to fall back in behind Bechtel. And behind these guys, Jacob Bradley continues his march up through the field as well. He is looking to the inside of Chris Pierce right here, trying to get that 7th position.
The camera views are definitely bringing up some stuff for me right now, Chris. These drivers have to be anxious here. Again, we've talked about it all night long. Just in 8 laps, these cars have not been able to separate. These trucks have not been able to separate themselves. I think the way that I thought they would get a little bit further apart even earlier than lap 8, and right now they are just not getting separated. Of course, we are single file, but right now we're watching Jeremy Gardner, that number 5 SRC truck, trying to make a move on Randy Bechtel. Got to be careful if he's going to slide up in front of that driver from Pennsylvania who's looking for a hometown victory today. Gardner's going to complete the pass for 4th, but I have started to see some drivers getting loose off the tunnel turn, Chris, and that is definitely probably going to play a role in this space that we anticipate seeing kind of build and develop as the race goes on, at least if we don't have a caution. But we also have to consider pit stops coming on around lap 30 or so. Real quick shout out to everyone in the YouTube chat right now. We've got an active chat. We've got Ray in there, Stu Vindman, Kyle Dewey, Evan Pienta's in here, Don Hilbrun's always a gem to have in here. AF Pops, Kyle Dewey, Diff Snicka is in here, John Rapp, Ellen Thomas is in here, Jeff Dewey's in here. Connor Lines is in here. Got a lot of people we're not used to seeing in here, but a lot of familiar faces as well. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Ethan Mitchell says hello as well. Welcome, Ethan. We're glad to have all the viewers. Hey, if you have not gone on our social media pages and checked out those Fast 5, the Fast 5 contest, Evan Pienta really loose just a second ago.
He's been
If you
loose.
haven't done that on our social media, go ahead, guess top 5. You got about 10 laps left to put in the correct finishing order for the top 5 tonight on our Facebook or Instagram page. Those links are in the video description. If you're watching on YouTube right now, go ahead, leave us a comment on Facebook or Instagram on that Fast 5 post that we put up yesterday. Chris, right now, Justin Wilson is still your leader, 1/7 of the way through the UD Awards, 175 for the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Jeremy Gardner, he's going after that Hank Thomas Performance truck, just 2 cars ahead. Jeremy Gardner looking underneath Scotty Sobczak. He's going to try to take over 3rd here as they head down into the corner. Sobczak's going to let off the throttle. He's going to let Gardner in. Bechtel might try to take advantage of that as they head down into turn 3 here, Chris.
Yeah, a lot of close racing going on right here. Oh man,
Bechtel and Coonan.
Yeah, they're
very
close
to each other. Bechtel up the track a little bit into turn 3. Coonan, I thought, might get the wall, but Bechtel is going to let out the throttle. He's going to go back to 6th position. I think that might have been, yeah, I think Bechtel gave up that position to Coonan, who's now moving into 5th position. Bechtel back to 6th, but we've seen Brandy have a real knack for the long runs, Chris. Bechtel's one of those drivers. He's methodical, and he just gets the job done as the race continues on. So we'll be looking to see that. I see another pass going on back here. Rye Jones. Randy Bechtel also, as soon as I say that, he wants the camera put on him in that 51. He's going to try to... Oh, I thought we might have contact and a collision there. Bechtel tries to make the pass on Thomas Coonan down there into...
Evan Pienta sideways.
Evan Pienta. Sideways.
And he is spinning.
Patrick Colby, I asked you, that wasn't Patrick Colby. One truck narrowly misses him, it looks like. I think that might have been Sean Johnson in the 32 potentially.
Man, you brought it up, but Evan Pienza was sideways, and it seemed like he could never get his rear tires cool after he got sideways the first time. We'll go back and we can see what happened to the driver of the 55, this Evan Pienza Designs.
Return to the scene of the crime. No help. He just got loose off of that corner. Rye Jones was very lucky, along with several other cars. The evasive action that several of these drivers took to miss him.
Yeah, we'll ride on board right here.
Yeah, that could have been bad for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, let's ride on board right here with Rye Jones and follow. You can see Evan Pienza. He's up the track a little bit here, and you know Kyle Dewey's up the track in front of him as well. And man, Rye Jones demonstrating a lot of patience right there. So, you know, just waiting to see if Evan's going to save it. Unfortunately for Evan, he did not. But that is going to bring out our first caution here at Pocono.
It's going to bring out our first caution, Chris. Predictions for pit stops. Just 12 laps in. Do you think we see drivers come down for tires right now?
I think that we will, because this puts you in a window possibly at this point where you could do it on just one more stop. And considering they have 3 sets in the pits, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see everybody come down pit road here.
All right, well, we're going to be looking to see exactly what they do, watching drivers come down into turn number 3. We're going to find out pretty quick if we're going to see some pit stops here by the likes of Justin Wilson, Aaron Smith, Jeremy Gardner, Scotty Sobczak, and Thomas Coonan. Those are the drivers that are running top 5 currently.
Yeah.
Getting ready. It looks like Justin Wilson and Smith are ducking their noses to the left, which signals to us and their crews coming down pit road. Oh, Jeremy Gardner about gets into the back of the number 70 of Aaron Smith there. Might have been a little bit of contact.
Yeah, we've got several trucks. We'll check to see who stayed out. I think Brady Floyd might be the only one, but not surprised at all to see this, because this puts you in a position where you can do this on just one more stop. So, yeah, it's going to be a tight race off pit road right here. We see Aaron Smith charging into that first pit stall. Everybody, these drivers trying to get everything they can, even on pit road at 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a fast pit road. It's a wide pit road. Thomas Coonan comes off early. Is that a 2-tire call for Coonan, or did he go no tires?
Either one, but he did not take 4 as, yeah, Coonan will win the race off of pit road. Justin Wilson, 2nd. Aaron Smith, 3rd. Looks like Jeremy Gardner, 4th. And Scotty Sobczak, 5th off of pit road there.
Setting up a great restart here. Connor Line says, have fun, everybody. I'm going to go eat dinner. I'm definitely hungry too, Connor. Enjoy your dinner. And let's talk quickly, Chris. Justin Wilson, a former champion. Aaron Smith, a former champion. Several champions in the field. They've all taken home UD Award Championship trophies. They are the presenting partner for our title, for our series trophy, but also for this race tonight. We're going to take a quick break to show some support to our partner, let you know how you get your hands on some awesome custom trophies from UD Awards. We'll be back on the other end of this break.
How do we get these one-of-a-kind amazing trophies? Well, we were fortunate to find UD Awards when we started our league. We reached out and we connected with Christopher, and we got started designing these one-of-a-kind works of art. The process was easy from start to finish. After just a few revisions, we finalized each one of them, and the team at UD got to work building each trophy from scratch. They're a small team, but they've got the ability to do just about anything your brain can imagine. And don't worry, if you're not an artist, they've got an entire catalog of unique trophies in pretty much any material you can imagine. Wood, acrylic, glass, and in the case of last season's trophy, metal. The best part, they're affordable. If you're looking for a trophy for your event or league, the choice is simple. UD Awards can give you exactly what you want.
Back here at Pocono Raceway for the resuming of the UD Awards 175. Right now, drivers headed down into turn 3, setting this restart up. Brady Floyd, that number 53 black and blue car on the inside, he stayed out, has taken no tires. We believe Thomas Coonan took 2 tires, which moved him from 5th to 2nd. Everyone else is on fresh tires, but it's going to be on Floyd, the control car, to mash that throttle in the Geico restart zone. He does just that. We are back underway here at Pocono. Clean start for Floyd. Coonan's going to lose a couple spots on the outside. Justin Wilson Gardner in that red, white, and black machine going to get by. First 3 single file. Now it's up to Aaron Smith to make the move under Coonan down into that 14-degree turn 1. Sobzak makes it 3 wide between Randy Bechtel and Thomas Coonan. Someone's going to have to give there. A couple other battles going on the track right now. Battle for the lead, though. Justin Wilson jumps to the inside underneath that 53 of Brady Floyd. Will it open up the door for Jeremy Gardner to move into second? Floyd takes it easy. He's going to be a little bit careful now with Aaron Smith looking underneath. Floyd's going to drop 2 positions, now 3 positions in the matter of a couple of corners. Sobzak's going to go for 4th, but as we mentioned it, Jeremy Gardner to the lead in that number 5 Sim Racing Concepts Chevy Silverado. He's going to lead this lap number 15. It's his first lap led of the night for Jeremy Gardner. Justin Wilson's already led at least 10. He's in second. Aaron Smith in third. Right now the battle is still between Scotty Sobzak and that red, white, and blue machine. Brady Floyd to his outside contact. Floyd and Sobzak get into each other in turn number 1. Randy Bechtel's going to go underneath Floyd. And right now, Floyd is definitely struggling in that 53, Chris, with tires that are at least 12 laps older than the rest of the field.
Yeah, we're seeing Floyd fall back. We're seeing Coonan fall back as well. I think that these guys might regret that decision that they made right there because they have 3 sets of tires in the pits. Even if we were to get another, relatively, untimely caution, I think that things would have worked out for them. So I think they might regret that decision.
Yeah, they are dropping like rocks, and it's probably only going to get worse as this run goes on. Right now, the car underneath Brady Floyd, the truck, I should say, is Chris Pierce in that Apex Energy Toyota Tundra TRD. You're watching Patrick Colby in the 9 jump underneath Thomas Coonan, who gets real close to the back bumper of Brady Floyd. Again, these 2 cars on older tires are causing a little bit of a stack up with the rest of the field. Rye Jones now draws even with the side of the number 86 of Thomas Coonan. That Pensacola, Florida driver, Chris. Rye Jones had a great 4th place run last week at Auto Club. He moves up into the 10th position for the first time tonight as we watch Brady Floyd still trying to hold off Patrick Colby for the 8th position. Oh, close battle. Thomas Coonan and Josh Ward right behind them. Coonan looks like he cut down in the front bumper of last week's winner at Auto Club, Josh Ward, who gives way, lifts on that throttle, but he's going to pay the price on the front stretch, Chris. This was something we mentioned. If you miss your marks, you are going to lose spots because this is a track where momentum means quite a bit. As we watch, maybe Wesley Pistol is going to cut Josh Ward a little bit of slack headed down in here into the high-speed turn 1.
Yeah, momentum means everything. If you have to get out of the gas for any reason, if a car runs into trouble in front of you, or if you have trouble yourself, just miss your marks, and you have to get out of the gas, it's going to kill you down the next straightaway. And there's a lot of straightaway here at Pocono.
There is a lot of straightaway. All in all, there's at least 8,000 feet of straightaway here at Pocono, and we've covered 18 circuits of those straightaways over the course of the night. Right now, Jamie Leach and Brady Floyd. This is a battle for the 10th position. Leach in that number 22 makes a duck underneath Floyd, headed down into turn number 3. I thought Floyd might not know he was there, but Floyd's going to cede that position. Floyd now back to the 11th position. Really, 10th through 15th, we've got some great racing going on, really all over the track, but I'm watching Josh Ward try to hold off Dan Rowe. They're making a pass right now underneath the blue, white, and green machine of Matthew Coots, who's working on the outside. Dan Rowe working to his inside right now. This is a battle going on for the 14th position between Ward, Kuntz, and Rowe, along with Sean Johnson and Wesley Pistol. Ward working on Thomas Coonan there. This is a battle for the 11th position.
Yeah, we saw almost some contact right there between Kyle Dewey and Scott Tompkins. I wanted to bring it up earlier on the restart, but don't look back
Three
here.
wide, sorry, 3 wide. Scott Tompkins, James Danforth, and Kyle Dewey in that number 33, Chris. I don't know how they
to the inside right there.
3.
Rowe with some contact off of turn 3.
Yeah, and you're going to see, he's
more
squeezing
contact.
Sean Johnson and Matt Kuntz on the front straightaway. He does not want to give up those positions, Chris. He had lost a severe amount of momentum, but this is going to really put Sean Johnson in a bad position with his teammate Scott Tompkins right behind him. 3 wide. There's Dan Rowe loose off the corner. Great racing going on here for about the 15th, 16th, and 17th position. You could throw a piece of paper over these cars right now, Chris.
Yeah, if you're one of these guys back here, if you're Scott Tompkins, all you want to do is get out of this mess. Like, you're just hung up in this mess. He might be a lot faster than what his position is showing, but you just got nowhere to go. There's sideways trucks, roadblocks of trucks. Like, you just got trucks everywhere. You just can't get through them.
Yeah, Scott Tompkins, that driver from Belmore, New York, involved in a very early crash on the first lap last week. Actually, not the first lap, but early on in the race last week at Auto Club. Looking to rebound, but really struggling right now. Tompkins sitting in the 18th position in that number 25 Shell Rotella machine. We got a handful with Sean Johnson and Dan Rowe, both of his teammates back here as they head off into turn number 1. Chris, this has been a little bit... Oh, Dan Rowe's going to go to the outside. Matt Kuntz, Sean Johnson. I thought Tompkins might make it 4 wide for a second there, Chris. We've seen a lot more 3 wide racing into the corners than I would have made a bet for early on before the green flag flew tonight. This is definitely probably got some blood pressures pretty high right now. Several battles going on the track. Up in front of them, the 33 of Kyle Dewey in 14th makes the pass on Thomas Coonan. Dan Rowe's also going to try to take advantage of some of that lost momentum. He's going to move up into the 15th position. Sean Johnson working on the inside now of Thomas Coonan, that number 86. That 2-tire strategy continues to kind of snowball its effect for Thomas Coonan, as well as Brady Floyd, who's back to 12th, Chris. Maybe drivers learning from some of those decisions made early on. Let's bounce back up to the front real quick to cover the battle for the lead. It hasn't really changed so much as it stayed about a 10th and a half for the past 10 laps. Jeremy Gardner, it seems, has been about a car length in front of Justin Wilson. We know Wilson, that driver out of Navarre, Florida, is just a driver who kind of is very meticulous. He bides his time. But one thing we were surprised to learn from Justin Wilson, we talked to him in media day, essentially. We asked him, what's your strategy? You came short last season on the championship campaign. He said, this year's strategy, I'm just going for it. I'm letting it all hang out. And right now, we're definitely seeing him do that as he pushes the back bumper of Jeremy Gardner down that long front straightaway, down into turn 1. Gardner's going to be hitting it at probably nearly 175, 180 miles an hour, Chris. Justin Wilson, are you surprised what you're seeing out of him tonight?
I don't think I'm really surprised at all. I think I expected him to be up near the front tonight, but he's got an interesting attitude coming in this season. The truck racing is a little bit more wild than the Xfinity racing in the sense that everybody seems like is on a lot more equal playing field. As I think that Justin Wilson might have... oh no, I think we had a connection issue from Justin Wilson, and he is still not back.
Oh, man. He is still not back at a certain point.
We were riding on board. We were riding on board with him as it went to the blimp shot right there, and that was because he just disappeared. You were riding on board with him as he had that connection issue, and I think at this point, he's been gone long enough. I think that he might have had a throughput.
Chris, might I bring up 2 things? First of all, this is the first opportunity we've had to say all season. Major championship implications as Justin Wilson drops out due to a connection loss. No, that's not as sexy as a crash or anything like that, but it's equally as significant. Second thing I want to bring up, Chris, is this the first? There it is. Justin Wilson connection dropped due to packet loss. Chris, the second thing I'm going to bring up, is this the first time this season that we can say the commentator's curse is still alive? And well?
Yeah, I think so. We're carrying it strong from last season into this season, and no driver is safe if we bring them up.
And for those of you who are just now tuning into Slingshot Racing events and missed last season, it's a bit of an inside joke within our community that whenever we're talking about someone on the broadcast, they always seem to have trouble. So drivers get a little nervous when we bring them up on the broadcast right now. Hey, one guy who's probably nervous is Rye Jones. He's got a mirror full of Patrick Colby back here in 8th position, headed down into turn 1. Colby was about a paper length width between him and the back bumper of Rye Jones. Colby, that driver out of New Hampshire, originally from Alabama, working over that Florida driver here, who's maybe not quite used to the cold weather up in Pennsylvania this time of year. Rye Jones in that black and purple driven Bay Life machine trying to hold off Patrick Colby. Because Patrick Colby, watching on board with him, he is a driver that he's an aggressive driver, but I haven't seen as much of the aggression out of him the first couple of races this season. Are we seeing a new Patrick Colby? Do you think his mentality has maybe shifted a little bit?
You never know. Possibly, he might be this season. He decided that he's going to just try to let the race come to him. And I think Patrick's always been, he's been aggressive, but I think he's also been like a, not an out of control aggressive by any means. He knows what he should and what he should not do out on the track, and he's doing a nice job right here, riding behind Ryan Jones and just keeping it nice and steady. Looks like he's got long run speed on his mind tonight.
Chris, Justin Wilson has returned to the race. He is being scored 2 laps down, it looks like. So, hey, you get 2 cautions. He's the first car lap down, Chris. Justin Wilson, wouldn't that be a story of the race if he somehow found a way to work his way back into this one? We'll be definitely keeping an eye on the driver of the number 58. Right now, up front, battle between the top 6 or so.
Go
ahead.
Before we go back there, go up there, I want to bring up this going on back here around the 13th position. This is a huge knot of cars. This is a huge pack right here from about 13th on back, and they have been 3 wide, swapping paint, no quarter ass, no quarter given back here from Scott Tompkins on back.
Yeah, this is what they call a gaggle, a hornet's nest. Several drivers ducking their nose outside, including James Danforth, who's going to jump underneath that black machine of Brady Floyd. Is he going to come up on him? That Napa machine stays near the middle of the track. We avoid calamity in turn number 1. Sean Johnson right in the back bumper in that red, white, and blue RC Cola machine, taking it to the Napa car, the Napa truck of James Danforth. Kyle Dewey on the outside. Johnson drives it really hard into turn 2, Chris. We've got some drivers really pushing their trucks right now, pushing their machines to the limit. You mentioned it. This is some intense driving. I know these drivers got to be getting a little bit nervous here as they make their way down into turn 2, headed down that final straightaway into turn 3. Actually, down the front straightaway now. My camera was a little bit off. Evan Pienta is working his way back up after that lap number 17 or 18 spin, or 13, I believe. Spin, and he's up to the 17th position right now. Actually, 18th, going for 17th under Sean Johnson here, down into turn 1.
Yeah, he's trying to roll back up through the field right here, taking it nice and easy. We see those 2 trucks right in front of him, Kyle Dewey and Brady Floyd. Brady Floyd continuing to fall through this field. He's now falling back to the 16th position here. Brady Floyd's going to be coming up on green flag pit stop here very soon. The driver of that 53 has got to have a caution, or he's going to have to pit. Well, Evan Pienta is going to make it 3 wide.
Evan Pienta taking no prisoners here down into the corner. Sean Johnson almost gets up into the 53 of Brady Floyd. They had to be inches apart there, Chris. I don't know how we avoided an incident. Evan Pienta once again loose off of that corner. These drivers are racing hard as they cross the line on lap number 29 for Slingshot Racing in the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Tony Caputo enters the picture for the first time tonight. In that number 7, Caputo up to 21st after starting 24th in that Sweet Baby Rays machine. Tony Caputo, the driver out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's a buddy of Evan Pienta, so we'll see how these guys race each other. Lee Campbell looking a little squirrely there on the straightaway, headed down into the corner. But you're right, Tony Caputo did help his buddy out, Evan Pienta. Brady Floyd in the wall off the corner, the car we've been watching now for several laps. looked like he got a wall full on his right side. I think he's definitely probably going to be looking to pit here, as you mentioned, any minute. But these drivers are not separating themselves at all. I'm looking around the field, and this battle for the lead, Chris, it is half a car length. Jeremy Gardner is leading by just now half a car length over Aaron Smith. Scotty Sobczak back in third, Randy Bechtel in fourth, Jacob Bradley in fifth. Less than a second separates, less than 7/10 of a second separates the top five right now as they head onto the second straightaway, getting ready to head down into turn 3. At what point, if you're Aaron Smith, is there a great place to pass? Is there a place where you're looking to set the driver up? Is there a place that's better than any other?
I like to be able to, if my car is working really well through the tunnel turn, if that driver misses his mark a little bit, I want to pounce on him there because I know that's the shortest straightaway coming up to turn 3. The thing that you run into sometimes in these trucks especially is if you try to make a move on the exit of 3 or the exit of 1, the next straightaway is so long that as Aaron Smith's going to look to the inside here, the next straightaway is so long that you run the risk of possibly the draft train hanging you out. But I don't think that's going to happen here. Aaron Smith's going to complete this pass.
Making that pass down into the tunnel turn. Aaron Smith's got to hit all of his marks. Jeremy Gardner's going to get a better run off the corner. Is Gardner going to force the issue on the inside going down into turn 3, Chris? We mentioned it. The tunnel turn is tough. If you don't hit it squarely and perfectly, you are going to see what happened to Aaron Smith there happen to you. Is he's going to get a run off this corner. He's going to want to lead this lap. He might have grazed the wall just a little bit in that HTP.com machine for Hank Thomas Performance. Right now, Smith is scored as the leader. Gardner couldn't make the comeback, couldn't make the crossover, but he gave it a good effort there. Aaron Smith does lead lap number 31. Now on to 32, Chris. We're just a couple of laps from the halfway point, and I think this might be a good opportunity to check in on our Sim Racing Concepts Spotlight driver. Each week, we're going to try to hear from a particular driver that is a member of this community and learn a little bit about them. This week, our Spotlight driver is going to be Nick DeCesare. So we'll go ahead and play that Spotlight driver. We'll keep some of the racing action up so you can watch the battle for the lead as we hear from Nick DeCesare driving the 00. Yeah, we're going to put the camera on him, too. That's even better. Good job, Chris. Smarter than me.
What's your job in real life?
So I'm an industrial electrician and mainly specializing in CNC repair and automation and PLC programming.
Grilled cheese or PB&J sandwich?
Grilled cheese, that's easy. Way better.
Who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
For me, it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's really, when he started, that's kind of what got me into NASCAR. I mean, I followed his whole career for better or worse. And I definitely lost interest when he retired, which kind of sucks. But I still have the races on in the background someday. So, but
what condiments would you put on a hot dog or hamburger?
I would say probably mustard. I'm not a big hot dog guy.
Hey, that was brewing for a couple of minutes. I believe that started with Dan Berg. Brandon Waldrop looks like he made it through it. A couple of cars. Was that Steve Speece I also saw collected in that? Maybe not. Green flag is still out, though. We're not going to have a caution for that incident.
We'll go back
and take a look at it.
Yeah, going down in the corner right here, we'll see following along right here with Speece. It looks like, it was like Chris Blassie tagged the wall, got into Speece, hooked him, turned him into, I could not tell who that was. That looks like it was a 21 of Brandon Waldrop that he made some contact with there. We're right on board with Waldrop to show you what he saw right there from his perspective. Going down into this corner, and it just got really jammed up in front of him. Blassie tags the wall, down into Speece. Speece comes back up into the left side of Brandon Waldrop. Nowhere for them to go. But yeah, they kept it straight, and we're still under green.
Still under green, wide racing service here at Pocono. Really, those two drivers did a good job of not compounding that incident. Drivers behind them did a good job of not compounding that incident. Looks like Brandon Waldrop's going to continue on in that 21, looking like he's going to be okay. I bet he would love to get a yellow flag, to get a yellow pit stop under caution to repair some of that damage. Driver coming onto pit road right now. That's going to be the 53 of Brady Floyd. We mentioned that, Chris. This kind of happened in that realm, in that area where Brady Floyd and Thomas Coonan were. I think we saw, not necessarily blaming that on them, but when you stack those cars up because they're trying to get by those two cars, I think that kind of created a situation that led to a little bit of that frenetic energy that we saw cause that incident on lap number 34. We're now on lap 35, halfway point. Chris, couple mentions in the chat. Julie says, another mustard lover. Apparently she doesn't like mustard. Maybe she is a mustard lover. I should know that. Let us know in the chat, Julie, if you're a mustard lover or not. I'm ashamed I don't know. But also, a couple other things. Dawn says Justin Wilson really messed our Fast Five picks up with that, and I think she's probably right. I think based on some of the responses I saw earlier, the prize is probably going up to $15 next week for the Fast Five. So make sure you're following us on social media, and that'll be every Monday. We'll put that post up, and you'll have the opportunity to look at the power rankings and make your guess as to what the top 5 finishers are going to be, and maybe take home a small amount of cash at the end of the evening. So joining the fight for the lead, it's not much of one. Aaron Smith has pulled out to about a 1.2 second lead. Looks like Jeremy Gardner holding station in second position behind him. Scotty Sobczak is about 8 to 9 car lengths back in third position. And let's talk about Scotty Sobczak, Chris. He is a driver who I just feel like is on the cusp of winning a championship. I don't know if it's going to happen this year for this driver out of California, but Scott's done a great job since joining Slingshot Racing about 3 seasons ago, and he's one of those guys you don't have to worry about out on the track. You never really have to worry that he's going to make an erratic move or anything like that. He's usually pretty on point and is one of our most respectful drivers on the track, and that's probably why he's come within a couple of points of winning a championship. He's got several wins under his belt. Yeah, he's having a good run out there tonight, though, in third position, that Pine Mountain Auto Supply number 81, that red, white, blue machine.
He is. He's doing a great job tonight. We were riding on board with him right there, and we didn't hear any shifting, but I want to go back right here to Aaron Smith really quickly and listen down into turn 1 right here. And you can hear him downshift in turn 1, so I asked Aaron earlier, and some of the other guys in the Placeholder Racing channel, if they would be shifting, and they said they didn't know if they would be into turn 1 tonight. They felt pretty confident they would be doing it down in turn 3 as the tires wore out and the lap time slowed down. But he is doing it down in turn 1, and obviously it's working out for him because he is putting a gap right now on Jeremy Gardner in the second position.
Yeah, just that lap, Aaron Smith picked up about half a second. The battle is tightening up a little bit, though. Scotty Sobczak closed it into about 4 truck lengths on the back bumper of Gardner, and Randy Bechtel even closer back here in 4th position. Bechtel, that driver out of Pennsylvania, again, making a charge through the field. He is started 4th, but he's going for 3rd right now, that red and white Dryden number 51. Bechtel's one of those guys we mentioned in the pre-races, one to keep an eye on this season.
Yep.
Really good run, quiet driver, methodical driver. Right now we're seeing some of that methodology in place here as he just kind of works over Scotty Sobczak. Looked like that 51 car or truck might be handling just a little bit better right now than that number 81, Chris.
Yeah, I would say so. You know, it seems like he's inching closer and closer and closer to Scotty Sobczak's rear tailgate right here, and we'll see if he can make the pass on him. You know, we've got a little bit of a breakaway right here, a bit of a gap right here. Jacob Bradley is hanging on to the back here of Randy Bechtel, but we got a nice little gap back to the next car, the next truck, I should say, and that's Chris Pierce, as Jacob Bradley's going to come down pit road. Pierce following him.
Yeah, this is going to be the first green flag pit stop. We're on lap 39, Chris. So it's been around 26 laps, I believe. 26, 25 laps or so since the last pit stop. We said the window was anywhere from 28 to 32. So maybe a little bit of short pitting here on the part of the driver, the number 50, as well as
Sean
Chris
Johnson's
Pierce coming with
around.
them.
Sean Johnson has turned the truck around on entry to pit road.
And green flag is still underway, but
Yeah, he's waiting on the traffic to go by.
Yeah, I think we're going to be fine. Go back and take a quick look here. It is a difficult pit road to get on, and Sean Johnson just kind of paying the price for maybe coming down a little bit too hot off of turn number 3 here.
Yeah, we'll ride on board with him. Coming to pit road. Oh, yeah. I think he started to brake just a little bit too late, and I think there's a lot of rear brake that's been put in that truck. I wouldn't be a bit surprised at all to see, you know, if his brake bias was dialed to the rear. That's one way to, you know, increase your corner entry speed here at Pocono, keep that truck turning, and unfortunately for him.
He slid into his pit stop, too. He slid into his pit stall, so I don't know if that was out of frustration, maybe, potentially, that he just kind of slid it sideways, Blues Brothers style, into that pit stall, had to back it up, got some contact with the wall a little bit. So the 32's race goes from bad to worse here on this pit stop. I think he's going to lose a lot of track position here on lap number 41. It's a shame. That's a good-looking paint scheme. Let us know in the chat. You ever had RC Cola before? As we watched that 32 of Sean Johnson. I know I used to drink it as a kid all the time. Had a good friend whose dad worked for RC, so we had plenty of RC Cola on a regular basis.
If you grew up in Alabama, you definitely had you some RC Cola growing up.
I wonder if Patrick Colby had any RC Cola. He's an Alabama driver, a fan of the Alabama.
Oh, Scotty Sobzak. Oh, Sobzak's loose on pit road as well. I'll be curious to see if he got down to pit road speed, because he had that thing sideways all the way down to the pit lane there.
Let me tell you, I'm going to be able to check. On pit road, I am showing 61 miles an hour when he hit that line. So I don't know how strict the iRacing timing system is.
Yep.
But if we're going on sheer entry speed, Chris, there might be a black flag coming for that driver, the number 81, who was running in the 3rd position when he pit. So going to be keeping an eye on that.
We'll see right here.
If he comes down pit road again or gets held.
We'll see if he gets held here. Okay, he's not getting held, so I think he got away with it.
He definitely got one over on the computer system there, but good job. We've seen, Chris, Scotty Sobzak, as fast as he is, we have seen him have some issues on pit road before. So tonight, a little too familiar for Scotty Sobzak. Right now, Aaron Smith is your leader. Jeremy Gardner is about
he's coming down pit road
because he's coming down pit road in that Sim Racing Concepts number 5.
Yeah, and this is, you know, Aaron Smith is confident right now. He is staying out there as long as he can. He feels really good about the lap time that he's making, and he should. He's really fast right now, and so he's trying to go as long as he can. I don't think he wants to lose the lead, but I think he wants to try to stretch this as long as he feels like he safely can.
Oh, caution is out.
Oh, man.
We're going to see what happens here on lap number 43.
Oh, man, and this is tight on fuel right here for these guys who have not pit yet. They are going to be in max save mode.
6 laps or so, and you're right. They are going to be max save mode, pushing in that clutch, still trying to see if we can figure out what exactly might have happened here to bring out Tony Caputo is the driver that I'm showing as having an issue. I'm going to see if we can revisit maybe and see what happened.
Okay, we'll go back. We'll find Tony Caputo in that 7 truck and see if we can see maybe what happened with him.
Yeah. Oh, yep, I do. Thomas Coonan and Tony Caputo. Looks like they were headed down into turn number, I believe that's turn number 2. That's the tunnel turn. And we mentioned it. It's difficult for 2 drivers to go down there. Thomas Coonan just arcs it a little bit too deep into that corner. Caputo had the line. He came up a little bit, but I don't think Coonan was really aware that Caputo was there.
Yeah, and you know we'll see if we can get like a high chopper view right here to give everybody an idea. Yeah, that's that's a really aggressive arc into the corner. Yeah, Tony Caputo could be a little bit closer to the yellow line. Yeah, I think that I would put that as a racing deal more than anything else.
As Bill Elliott said, a racing deal. We're going to see what our race director, Sam Maxwell, is going to say. We'll be waiting for the call on that penalty if there is one. We'll bring it to you when we get it. But, Chris, you mentioned this is going to create a very tense situation for our leaders. We know that Aaron Smith, Patrick Colby, Ward, Kyle Dewey are all probably going to need to come down this lap.
And this is like a road course. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. This is like a road course caution in the sense that I don't think Aaron Smith wanted this at all, because now he is going to have to come out behind a lot of traffic. He's going to have to come out behind a lot of guys who've already made their pit stop, because this track is so massive, you don't lose a lap when you pit, as long as you're within the delta of the leader. And so there's a lot of guys that are gonna come out of this deal with a lot of track position on Aaron Smith. Aaron's gonna have to fight his way through some traffic. There's gonna be some guys that take the wave around who will be starting behind him, but I think that Aaron's probably gonna be restarting around the 11th or 12th position here once we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting situation play out. We're going to see maybe the fastest car all night, other than Justin Wilson, have to work his way through at least 10 to 12 cars if he's going to get back up to the lead in about a 23-lap run here towards the end, and that's if it goes green. Let's take a moment, though, to hear from the partner on that number 70 car. I know Hank Thomas Performance didn't want to see that yellow flag for that yellow machine that they are on the hood of, but we've been super proud to bring on a new partner, Hank Thomas Performance. This season, they are a Sunoco fuel distributor and also serve the greater Southeast area with all sorts of racing parts and Sunoco fuel. We'll go ahead, we'll hit a break, we'll hear from them, you'll hear all about them, and we'll be back on the other end of that break.
Hank Thomas Performance is a Sunoco race fuel master distributor located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Our territory covers North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, as well as the Panhandle of Florida, providing quality Sunoco race fuel to many track and dealers throughout the region. In addition to Sunoco race fuels, Hank Thomas Performance distributes high-quality methanol and at-track supplies, as well as miscellaneous gas containers and everyday products that the at-track racer wants and needs as they compete at their local asphalt and dirt ovals, plus drag strips. You can reach us at 800-848-HANK, or if you're in our area, come out and visit us at the shop.
All right, we're back here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, Pocono Raceway for the Hank Thomas Performance Apex Energy Truck Series event here at Pocono. Race number 2 for Slingshot Racing League. Trucks getting ready for a restart on lap number 46, working their way out of turn number 2, headed towards the final turn number 3 after a caution on lap 44 between Tony Caputo and Thomas Coonan. Hey, if you haven't liked this video and subscribed to us on YouTube, it doesn't cost you a thing, I promise, and it would mean the world to us if you could help us continue to grow our channel and put your drivers, your favorite drivers, in front of more eyeballs. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let us know if you're here in the chat who you think's going to win this race. You can win a free diecast simply by letting us know you're here in the chat. Right now, Jacob Bradley's letting them know he's here. He is going to be the leader on this restart. We are back underway at Pocono. The driver, the number 50, last season's champion, mashes the throttle, but Randy Bechtel gets a great restart. Both of those cars, the white and blue and the red and blue machines, going to head down into turn 1 side by side. Bechtel's going to give way to his teammate, Jacob Bradley. Meanwhile, payday teammate Rye Jones back in 3rd. He's got Chris Pierce in the Apex Energy machine in 4th behind him. Scotty Sobzak in the red, white, and blue machine 5th. Top 5 single file battle going on for Scott Tompkins entering the chat for the first time tonight, working on the inside of his teammate Dan Rowe, but he's got a mirror full of that Sim Racing Concepts number 5 of Jeremy Gardner and James Danforth. Seeing a lot of drivers in the top 10 tonight making their way there for the first time because of that caution falling at a unique point in the race with just 25 to go. This is a gaggle of trucks here making their way onto the front straightaway. Jeremy Gardner going to try to duck low. He's got Aaron Smith, Chris, who you mentioned is going to have to get by. Caution is out on the straightaway. On the speedway here at Pocono. Lee Campbell takes a hard hit. Did he hit the pit road entrance?
I was about to say, he went out of view really fast, but we're going to go back and see it. It looks like he might have. So we're entering turn 3 right here in the replay. He's in the middle right here, 3 wide. Chase Berry looking to the inside of him. Got Ryan Hinkle in front of him there. And looks like Brady Floyd's going to look to the middle, 3 wide. Oh, some contact between Larry Poling. Oh, and he did. Larry Poling and the 53 of Brady Floyd made some contact. Larry looks like he came off the wall. Well, right on board right here with Lee Campbell, and it's just a helpless feeling because if that was a real-life crash, Lee Campbell would probably be hurting right now.
We'd be bringing out the parts for that one.
We would be.
And one thing I do want to point out, if we look, I don't know what Sam Maxwell is going to do here in terms of the decision on the penalty for who caused this caution. He did issue the last one for Tony Caputo, that lap number 45 caution. But right here, if you're Larry Poling, you realize you're a little bit high, you're getting out of the throttle, you're Brady Floyd, you're looking in the mirror, you're seeing that gap, but it just closed very quickly on that driver, the number 53, which pushed him down the track into Lee Campbell. Fortunately, Lee and that number 14, who's doing a great job for us in Slingshot Racing, bore the brunt of that incident here on lap number 49. Just about 21 laps left here, but Chris, is this a good caution for Aaron Smith?
I definitely think so, because this, gives him a chance. I don't know. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. I think it is because it gives everybody a chance to double up one more time. I was going to bring it up as Aaron was coming up through the field. A lot of these guys in front of him now, you brought it up before, we hadn't seen them up near the top 10 all night. And it might be that their trucks are fast. They just haven't had track position. They've just been stuck, mired back in traffic. Maybe they didn't have good qualifying runs, but they're faster than what their qualifying run showed. And, we've seen Scott Tompkins and Daniel Rowe back in the hornet's nest all night. Just in the scrum of the pack. And it's a dogfight back there. And, you've got to muscle your way up through the field, and now they're up here in the top 10, and Aaron might have more trouble getting around them than what we originally thought he would, and this gives everybody a chance to double up, and I think it actually works out well for him as we got some drivers faking for pit road, but I don't think anybody's going to be coming down this time.
A couple of drivers, one driver in particular I want to mention who is not faking it tonight, Jay Haishman. Let's tuck in the 12th position here. Look at the golf ball machine of that 06, driven by Jay Haishman, the driver out of Elkton, Maryland. He's got that. We usually used to seeing him have that kind of Maryland flag number, but he's going with some chrome numbers on that golf ball machine tonight. Jay, really good guy. We're glad to have him racing with us tonight, but he's up 17 positions so far. After starting back in 29th, he's had a really solid run going tonight. Definitely a better run than he had last week after finishing, I believe, I'm looking to see exactly where he finished. You know what? He finished 12th last week, so he's exactly where he finished last week. So pretty consistent runs, top 12, first 2 races of the season going for Haishman. I know he's going to be looking forward to a good season.
He gets a bump right there from Wesley Pistol. I think those guys are actually in the same driver chat tonight. So
they are having a little fun with each other.
Yep.
Wesley Pistol not maybe having the night that he wanted. We mentioned him starting 10th. He's down to 13th, but keep his nose clean. You never know what's going to happen here. Might be able to easily work his way back into the top 10. Let's talk about Rye Jones. Actually, this really, Chris, I'm just looking at drivers right now as we get ready for this restart who have moved their way up. I'm looking, Jacob Bradley's up 14 positions on the night. Rye Jones up 17 positions, now sitting in third. Lots of drivers have moved their way up over the course of the evening, and I think a couple of these restarts with drivers being really bunched up has definitely helped. Also, the caution flags falling as they have. So you mentioned it earlier, a lot of drivers who have a lot of speed, able to get their way up front here. We'll see how that's going to play out over the next 50 or next 20 laps or so. Now on lap 50 of 70. If you're looking at the ticker, you'll notice the top 10 are Bradley, Bechtel, Jones, Pierce, Sobzak, Tompkins, Rowe, Gardner, Smith, and Danforth. Currently your top 10. Going to be getting ready for a restart here in the next lap or so, although I haven't seen them get side by side yet, so this might be a bit of an extended caution.
They're doubled up here going into turn
one.
Oh,
here we go. There we are. They just took the one together. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. And, when we get this restart, Aaron Smith is going to be starting on the inside right here. And I was trying to think if this was a good thing or a not so good thing. And, it's so hard to predict which lane is going to move. You always think like in turn one, maybe you've got the option to pop up to that third lane up there because, you do have some options down there in that corner, especially on a restart. But, in these trucks with as much drag as they have and as underpowered as they are compared to some of the other cars, I don't really know if that is even an option for you. And so, at least on the inside here, you have the ability to get a jump on the restart and, pop to the inside 3 wide. There are no rules in Slingshot Racing League about going to the inside on a restart 3 wide. You can definitely do that. So, I think I'm looking for Aaron to possibly make a move like that going into turn one here because I think he's got to get after it if he wants to have a shot to win this race.
I think we're in store for a spectacular restart on what will be lap number 52. Just going to be about 19 laps away from the restart. Just looking through the field, see if there's anyone else we might talk about here. The driver's having a rough night, Chris. Justin Wilson. We saw him have some internet issues, led early on in the race, but he's a lap down, but he's got five lap trucks in front of him. Yep. If he's going to get his lap back, he's going to have to do some racing in that number 58. But right now, Pace Car is about to peel off to let the leaders do some racing. It's going to be Bradley on the inside, Bechtel on the outside. Bradley mashes that throttle. Green flag waves once again here for the Apex Energies Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Bradley,
Smith,
Bechtel,
3 wide.
Jones. Yep, there's the 3 wide move we thought might happen. Smith takes the chance down into one. Scott Tompkins gives him plenty of room. Jeremy Gardner on the outside. Is Smith going to be able to complete the pass here on Tompkins as they make their way out of turn one, coming down into the tunnel turn? It's a difficult one if Aaron Smith's going to hold on and make that pass. Looks like he loses a little bit of speed off the corner. Tompkins has to hit the brake to avoid the car of Dan Rowe in front of him. That's going to open the door for Aaron Smith, Chris, to potentially gain 2 spots. That might move Smith into the 6th position. 3 spots now gained for Smith on the restart early on. Behind those drivers, Chris, it is anyone's guess what's going to come out of this fray. Aaron Smith now got a little bit of resistance from Dan Rowe and that number 68 on the outside. Hold on, not so fast, Dan Rose says. Aaron Smith, I know you're a champion, but I'm not going to let you off that easy as they head down into turn one. The 68 clears that yellow machine.
Contact
Gardner.
Between Gardner and Tompkins there.
Yeah, Gardner and Tompkins have to get off each other as Gardner almost got in the back of the number 70 at the same time. So right now, 4 cars within 4 car lengths of each other. This is a battle going on for the 6th position. Meanwhile, single file up in the top 5, 6 right now. Dan Rose sitting in 6th. Trying to hold on to that spot from Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith is a patient driver, Chris, but how long can you be patient if you're Aaron Smith now with just about 16 laps to go in this race?
Well, if you don't have the run, you can't make the pass, and he's obviously getting through turn 3 right here, just a little bit better. We can see him rotate on the bottom right there. He's got about half a truck width lower through that corner, but he just doesn't quite have the momentum here on entry to one, or does he? Yes, he does. He's going to look to the inside of Rowe.
It's going to be a gamble. He's going to take it down in that high-speed corner. Rowe's going to give plenty of berth on the inside. Rowe trying to gain momentum on the outside. He does. This remains a two-wide battle for the 6th position down the back straightaway, down that long pond straightaway, down into turn 2, the tunnel turn. Dangerous corner coming up for both of these drivers. Aaron Smith is going to push it down there on the inside. He looks like he might have the opportunity to complete the pass. Not quite yet. He's going to have to wait until turn 3 if he's going to make that pass. Tompkins goes to the inside of Dan Rowe. Right now, Aaron Smith up to 6th position. He's going to clear and get out front of that number black 68.
Not quite.
I spoke too soon. Dan Rowe says, you know what? I have not had enough of this battle yet. I want to be in the top 6. They're going to go back and forth and back and forth. A little game of chess here between Aaron Smith and Dan Rowe, except it's about a game of chess at around 180 miles an hour into turn 1, Chris. And it looks like neither driver has blinked yet as we watch Rowe continue to work that outside. He's making Aaron Smith's life real difficult right now on lap number 55.
It's been over a lap right here, and they are side by side. They have been side by side the whole time, and it's finally Aaron Smith's going to complete the pass, but you see just how hard it is, like I was talking about before. That's not what Aaron Smith needs. He needs to be able to complete passes quickly if he's going to get back up to the lead.
Yeah, that's going to put him in 6th position right now, Chris. I'm showing he's about 2.2 seconds behind Bradley. It's going to take a lap to really see kind of the comparative lap times, how fast Aaron Smith is running compared to Bradley. They're on similar, actually, Aaron Smith's going to have about 4 or 5 lap pressure tires, so we'll see how that kind of plays out over the final portion of this race. Speaking of Jacob Bradley, he's got about 6 car lengths on his payday teammate of Randy Bechtel. About 8 car lengths behind them is the 91 truck of Rye Jones, who's worked his way up from 20th all the way to 3rd. Great run going for Rye Jones, picking up right where he left off last season with just consistent run after consistent run. Chris Pierce, meanwhile, closing in on the back bumper of Rye Jones, but he's got a back bumper full of Scotty Sobczak. Let's talk about Chris Pierce real quick, Chris. He's done a great job he's gotten so much faster in the past 2 seasons. If there's a driver that I'm looking at that has seemed to gain the most raw speed on track in our series, I would say Chris Pierce definitely is in the top 5 listed that. Running that beautiful Apex Energy machine. And speaking of beautiful, all the overlays that you see on your screen right now, whether it's the ticker or the pit board graphics or the driver info graphics, Chris Smith, who did those graphics?
Chris Pierce did those graphics.
Absolutely. Pierce Graphics, great job. Continued supporter of Slingshot Racing League. We love not only working with Pierce Graphics, but the driver, Chris Pierce, as well. So right now, a good run going for Chris Pierce. We saw him with a lot of speed in practice, looking to see if he can make a pass on Rye Jones for the 3rd position. Chris, I think we might have an issue. Jacob Bradley.
Oh, no.
He's showing up on your timing screen.
Oh, no. Say it ain't so. Another issue with connection tonight.
Yeah, that's going to hand the lead over to Randy Bechtel unless Jacob Bradley. I'm showing Jacob Bradley dropping through the field, now down to 32nd, 33rd position. That payday racing driver, last season's champion, connection issues for the 2nd driver up front tonight. You got to be worried if you're Randy Bechtel. Apparently, we got a little first place. I'm trying to think of the right word.
Oh, Wesley Pistol
going
in the wall there off of turn 1 right there. Yeah, you know, don't know if it's just a connection to iRacing issue or if it is a problem like with, individual internet. I know how painful that can be after last week. That's super unfortunate for Jacob. He was running really strong and was looking really good there. I want to bring up this battle right here for the 9th spot. Chase Berry is flying up through the field here. He's been riding around at the back for most of this race, and here he is making a charge. He's on the freshest tires up here. In Chase Berry fashion, he probably saved a set earlier when most people took tires, and on this recent caution decided to put them on, and he is flying up through the field right here trying to clear Wesley Pistol as we got Jeremy Gardner looking to the inside of Daniel Rowe right here going into turn 1 for the 6th spot.
Hey, Chris, I do want to direct your attention. We've had an incident between Patrick Colby and Josh Ward on lap 59, actually lap 56, I should say. We missed it because it didn't bring out a caution. Lap 56, Patrick Colby and Josh Ward got together. I don't know if you've got a replay of that, but it looks like Ward drove it really hard into the corner and slid up the track. Patrick Colby went into the wall and looked like he suffered what was some race-ending damage for that.
Oh, yeah. It looks like, wow, yeah. Watch the 9 truck compared to the 92, and you'll see, yeah, it looks like Josh just drove it in a little bit too hard right there, and they got hooked together door to door. And unfortunately, I put Patrick Colby into the wall right there in turn 2. We'll look at it from this angle right here. And yeah, as those guys are turning down, you can kind of see the 92 going straight right there. Just carried a little bit too much speed entering the tunnel turn.
And that tunnel turn has been the turn we've been talking about all night, Chris. In the pre-race intro, we mentioned a lot of drivers refer to Pocono as the Bermuda Triangle. I think Josh Ward's going to consider himself part of that category in the group of drivers after that incident tonight. Randy Bechtel continues to be your leader here on lap number 60. 10 to go from the Pennsylvanian driver. Looking to get a hometown win here. Rye Jones, though, not far behind, running similar lap times, Chris, to Randy Bechtel. Chris Pierce is one of the faster cars on track. Aaron Smith, though, Chris, right now is the fastest car on track. He is clicking off some fast lap times. That time by Aaron actually was equal with Randy Bechtel. So maybe Randy senses Aaron Smith making a pass right now on Chris Pierce. This is a battle for third. I think Randy's feeling the footsteps coming behind him from the driver of that number 70 Hank Thomas Performance Silverado.
Man.
Aaron Smith close to the wall there on the exit of the corner as he makes that pass for third.
Yeah, you can see the steering wheel inside that 70 Hank Thomas Performance Chevrolet. He was sawing on that wheel right there, and he is driving really, really hard right now as he closes up on the rear bumper of Rye Jones. He's going to look to the inside here and turn. Nope, he's going to fall back in line. There's some blocking going on.
Close action between second and third. Rye Jones and Aaron Smith down into the corner. Smith, after being blocked, is going to make an aggressive move. He's going to complete that pass for second out of turn 3, and now he's going to set his sights with just 9 laps left on the leader, Randy Bechtel, who's got a second lead. We're going to be keeping an eye close, Chris. In just a lap or so, I'm going to be curious to bring up the battle box and see how Aaron Smith's lap times are going to be comparing with Randy Bechtel to see if we think he's going to be able to get this job done based on his pace. Looking at the corner analysis right now on Aaron Smith as we watch him go through the corners. Rye Jones not letting Smith get away, though. I'm a little bit surprised that Rye's been able to keep up with the driver of that number 70 right now with just about 9 laps to go.
Yeah, he's. We'll watch these corner speeds right here on this lap, and we'll put up the battle forecast here at the conclusion of this lap as Aaron Smith has completed that pass, and we'll be able to see. I think that Rye Jones was trying to do everything he could to make life difficult for Aaron Smith so he could not chase down his Payday Racing teammate Randy Bechtel. Unfortunately, all that blocking that went on, I think that really messed him up on entry to 3 and got him offline there. We'll put up the battle forecast here to see what they looked like that time. And yeah, Smith almost a full 0.2 quicker on that lap on Randy Bechtel. And now's the time where you got to let it all hang out, obviously. If you're Randy Bechtel, there's no more saving tires. There's no more just trying to, keep a smooth, steady wheel the whole time. You are going to do everything you can to stand on the gas and try to keep that foot on the gas.
Yeah, look at that predicted overtake lap. 7 laps from now, Chris, guess how many races or how many laps we have left in this race? Right at a little over 7. So right now, if the numbers don't lie, which sometimes they can be a little bit misleading and things can change, Randy can turn it up a notch or maybe Aaron turns it up a notch. But right now, we're setting up for a pass within probably the final 2 or 3 laps. And remember the old saying, catching them's one thing, but passing them is another.
Man.
Aaron Smith right now just about 0.6 of a second back. That lap he was over 0.2 faster than Randy Bechtel. He turned up the heat.
He was almost 0.3 quicker, and I'm trying to watch the relative at the same time to see where he's gaining, and it looks like to me that he's just charging the corners a lot harder than what Randy is, especially turn 3. I noticed that. He gained a ton of ground on the previous lap on entry to turn 3. He's gaining a lot more. Oh, he kind of It's going a little bit wide
Oh,
here.
a little bit. Yeah, a little wide. Almost into the wall for Aaron Smith. He is trying to do his best. If you're just joining us here, just about 6 laps left in the UD Awards 175 for Slingshot Racing League in the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. That Hank Thomas truck is doing his best to catch Randy Bechtel, the current leader. Just now 6 laps left. Smith is closing. You can see that overtake projection has been updated to reflect 3 laps, Chris. This is tightening up. Randy Bechtel was over 0.2 slower than Aaron Smith that time by.
Yeah, that time right there has been updated to 2 laps, the projected overtake number right here. But as you'll see, as he gets closer and closer to Randy Bechtel, we'll actually ride on board right here with Randy. As he gets closer and closer to Randy's rear bumper, he's going to get into the arrow wake. He's pushing. Oh, he tags the wall off
Smith
of 2.
into the wall. Off the corner. That bright yellow machine's going to have a donut on its right side. And he continues on with the march towards the front, but that is going to hurt. We'll see how that might affect the handling of that Hank Thomas machine.
Yeah, Aaron is shifting. You can see the fire out of the exhaust right there. It didn't sound like Randy shifted down there in turn 3, so that's something different that they are doing here. We'll try to watch right here on entry to 1. Aaron is getting tight behind this 51 truck. Randy is putting his truck right in front of it. Randy's up the track a little bit right here. That's not a bad line. It helps you get some momentum here. But I think Aaron is shifting. You can kind of see it right there on corner exit as he closes in, creeps up to the rear bumper of Randy Bechtel.
Yeah, Smith gets a real good run. How long is he going to wait to try to make that pass, Chris? If you're Randy Bechtel, did you have any sense that Aaron Smith is shifting? Are you not going to know that maybe until he gets right up behind him and you can hear that motor change pitch just a little bit right behind you? Does Randy Bechtel have to make an alteration to his strategy right now? Does he have to start shifting, or do you kind of stick with the same strategy you've been running with? As we watch Aaron Smith going to try to jump to the inside down the front straightaway. Smith going for the lead with just 4 to go. Randy Bechtel going to do everything he can to hold off the driver of that number 70 who's gone from 12th all the way now to 1st within about 20 laps or so after an unfortunate yellow flag. That yellow machine side by side. Bechtel and Smith not letting each other get away. Out of the corner, they head down into the next after this long straightaway. Who's going to blink first? A battle with just 4 laps left. Aaron Smith charges down into the tunnel turn.
Oh, Randy crossover. He's going to try to cross
He's
under him.
going to pay the price on exit. Randy Bechtel's going to try to get back underneath, headed down into turn 3. Will he mash that throttle even harder? Who's going to drive it in the hardest? Aaron Smith says it's going to be me. On the outside, Smith to the lead. See if he can set sail on Randy Bechtel here. If Bechtel saved a little gas in the tank, is he taking his Apex Energy here in the last 3 laps or so? 3 laps remaining here from Pocono. Several folks in the chat saying this is going to get interesting, and indeed it has. Stage Break Podcast, we appreciate you joining. Connor Lines, Don Hilbrand, thanks for sticking around. Just 3 laps left. It's going to be a shootout, Chris. I don't know if Randy Bechtel's got any juice left in the tank, though, because that time by, Aaron pulled away by about 4 to 5 car lengths.
Yeah, he did. As we got a tight battle right here for 3rd. Chris Pierce has really closed up on the rear bumper of Rye Jones. Going to try to take that 3rd spot away from the driver of the 91. You asked the question earlier, can Randy Bechtel adjust and start shifting now at this point? I think that's asking a lot at this stage of the race. Man, I think it would have been difficult even if he started shifting to hold off Aaron Smith on those tires. Aaron has had the speed on everybody all night, and he has the tires here. So I think that was we were asking a lot out of Randy right there to be able to, completely readjust his driving style with just a few laps to go.
Yeah, and you can see him right now holding station. Bechtel hasn't quite lost sight of Aaron Smith as they head off into the corner. Smith in that bright yellow machine, it can still be seen through that front windshield of the red and white 51 of that Lock Haven, Pennsylvania driver who is hoping for a win here with just 2 to go in his home state. He's not letting Aaron Smith get away quite yet. That lead has stabilized, and I'm seeing Randy charge those corners just a little bit harder here. Aaron Smith, Chris, a little bit loose off that corner. Might have tagged the wall a little bit. Does the draft play a role here? Does that allow Randy Bechtel to maybe maybe sniff a little bit of air off the back bumper of Aaron Smith and maybe make a run at this coming to the white flag here.
Man, Randy's driving really hard right now. He did an unorthodox line right there in turn 3. He's getting through the tunnel turn a lot better than Aaron is, I think. Aaron's charging that tunnel turn, and I think that Randy is just, he's taking a much more conservative line, and Randy he's gaining a lot of ground on Aaron at the exit of the tunnel turn. The draft could play a role right here on the Long Pond straightaway.
Absolutely. Longest straightaway in all of racing here in America. Randy Bechtel seeing if he can sniff a little bit off of Aaron Smith here, coming to the checkered flag. Just a handful of opportunities left for the driver of that number 51. Bechtel in the red and white machine charges down into turn 2. Smith got to be looking in his rear view mirror. One corner left for the driver out of South Carolina, Hollywood as we call him, to hold off Randy Bechtel, that home state driver. It looks like that is going to work out. Smith's going to hold on to the lead down the front straightaway. Smith climbed the mountain all the way from 12th to 1st late in the race, and he's going to win it in the Pocono Mountains in the UD Awards 175 for Slingshot Racing League. Randy Bechtel is second. Rye Jones finishes third. Final driver on the podium. Rounding out the top 5, Scotty Sobczak and Chris Pearson, that Apex Energy machine. Chris, what a great finish. It wasn't settled until the final 4 laps, and Aaron Smith drove the wheels off that Hank Thomas Performance truck tonight and gets himself win number 1 of the season. Hey, one last chance before we hit up the Victory Lane interviews. If you are in the chat, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't said anything in the chat, that's okay, but it's your last chance to make a comment. Let us know how your night's going. If you're excited about the race, we're going to do a random drawing of all the entries of the chat to award one fan a 164th Kurt Busch diecast next gen car. So let us know. One last chance in the chat. We'll let you know shortly who won that. Stick around as we watch Aaron Smith burn it down on the front straightaway. We're going to get those drivers in the booth momentarily. All right, so we're going to try to get Rye Jones in here to begin with.
This is a heck of a burnout here on the front stretch.
Rye Jones, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, my friend.
Yeah, man, I got you guys.
Man, what a great race for you tonight. It felt like you were up front much of the evening, but you started way back. Had a heck of a run, heck of a task in front of you to get to where you did. Talk to us about kind of your method in getting up to the front on what's been referred to as the tricky triangle. What was the biggest challenge you saw out there all night for yourself?
Ellis, do you want the honest truth?
Go for it.
I hate this place.
It wouldn't show.
This is my least favorite track. I cannot run here at all worth a dang, and it was honestly just pure luck there. Kind of. I had, I pitted at a good time. It usually never works out for me, but here I noticed that after about maybe 8 to 10 laps, when the tire fall off began, everybody was just running even. So if it stayed green and had I been able to stay up front, I felt like I could have stayed there and gained a few positions. I didn't have nothing on Aaron or Randy or even Jacob and Justin. I really feel bad. Jacob lost his power, and then Justin lost his internet, so that was kind of a bummer for them. So I really should be sitting in 5th. But I just was, I pitted a little early just because I had nothing else to lose, and then the caution came out, and I ended up being 3rd because of it. And I was just like, well, I just got to hang on here and just try and hold people behind me because it's so hard to pass here. And Chris would kind of get a run on me going, coming out of 1, but I would be better in 2 and 3, and it was just able to stick. I don't practice here a lot. I think this is only my 2nd race, long race here, so to finish 3rd is really a blessing.
Awesome, man. Well, we were glad to see that great run you had tonight. Before we let you go celebrate that podium finish, you got any shout-outs before we let you go?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys as always, putting on a good show. Love watching the replays. Glad to get a podium again finally, and Got to thank the Payday teammates, Randy, Jacob, Justin, Chase, and Johnny. All of us, we practice so well together, and we try to work real hard to have some fun here. And got to thank everybody that tunes in. I know I get some work friends and some family that watch, so appreciate them as well. And hopefully we can change that mugshot of mine for them, because I look like a serial killer.
Hey, man, you get us whatever picture we want. We'll put it in there for you.
All right, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Rye Jones, third place finisher tonight. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
All right. With that, we are going to hear from Randy Bechtel, your second place finisher.
Randy
All right,
Bechtel,
Randy.
our second place finisher. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, Randy, I thought tonight was the night. You were looking super, super fast all night, running really, really consistent lap times right there, and sitting in a prime position right there after that last caution. Talk us through those closing laps right there. Is anything you could have done differently to hold off Aaron? It looked like he was coming up there with some fresher tires and on a charge.
I know the other Payday guys said I should block, and I was like, there's way too many laps left, and I think I don't even know how many laps newer tires. I think you have like 4 lap newer tires, and tires are pretty big here at Pocono, and it's not how I race. I tried to race him, give him a little run there when he got beside me, but then tried to get it back there at the end. It just those new tires were slightly newer tires, I should say, were a little bit better.
Yeah, you definitely made it interesting and didn't let him get away. It seemed like you could really get off that tonal turn a little bit better than he could. It seemed like there's a few times where he overdrove it and you would gap him just a little bit there. Did you shift any tonight? Is that something maybe that you considered there at the end?
We tried in practice. The RPM in third gear was a bit too high. I know it might be a little glitch, but you might have to ask Aaron. But at one point, it sounded like he shifted, but for me, it didn't seem like it was going to be a big difference. Maybe it actually was.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like you said, it could have been just the replay glitch. It sounded like he did, but who knows for sure until we actually talk to him. Hey, man, you had a great run tonight. You're looking really, really solid this season, looking like you're going to be a force for this championship. Any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go here tonight?
I want to shout out all my teammates, you guys, for putting on the league and the broadcast, and all the great sponsors for Apex, and all the new guys that came along for this season.
All right, man. That's Randy Bechtel, our second place finisher tonight. Hey, we appreciate you. Great run tonight. Go celebrate it, man.
And thank you, guys.
All right, now we're going to hear from the driver, that number 70, tonight's winner, Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith, driver of the 70. It's Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, my friend.
Yeah, I've got you.
Well, man, it's been a minute since I feel like I've talked to you in Victory Lane. Congratulations on getting there for the first time this season. There was a moment during the race where you had your work cut out for you. Not that you don't every single lap, but after starting on the pole tonight, it looked like it was going to be clean sailing, smooth sailing for much of the evening. But over the course of the night, you had a caution fall the wrong way. And talk to us about that yellow, kind of where were you mentally when that yellow fell at what pretty much could have been the worst time for you during the race, putting you back behind 10 to 11 drivers with just about 25 laps left? What were you thinking, and how did you kind of lock in for that final run?
Well, I had a feeling that caution was coming. It usually does when I'm in such a good position there in the green flag cycle, but I had a feeling it'd be a decent run through the field there at the end. We got through one row before that first caution came out, and then we were able to pick everybody off after that second one. But it was pretty difficult, but the tire advantage certainly played a pretty big role there.
Yeah, you definitely, we know, have established yourself as a master at saving tires. Tonight, the car was handling, we noticed a couple of times you looked like you were pushing it and got the wall out of a couple of corners. I believe it was maybe turn 2 you got the wall out of. Was that the most difficult point on the track for you tonight?
I wouldn't really say it was difficult. It was just the truck wouldn't really cooperate the way I wanted it to. That was the one part of the track where you couldn't really downshift. You weren't going slow enough to really get to that point where you could get the front end to bite. but I kind of found the limit and ran it, and then I stepped over it just a little bit there and only took off the right rear. So fortunately, I didn't knock the right front suspension in, or I would have been toast. But I guess it all played out just right.
Yeah, it was a moment where I know you were holding your breath, and all the Aaron Smith fans were holding your breath, holding their breath as you got the wall, making that charge towards the lead, man. I know, obviously excited. We don't have favorites, but we love it when our partners end up in victory lane with Hank Thomas Performance on board tonight. You got that yellow machine out front, got some airtime for Hank Thomas Performance. We're super excited about that. We're going to let you go celebrate this one, but before we do that, you have any shout-outs?
Well, I'd like to thank Hank Thomas Performance for supporting the league and all that, and all the other folks who support the league as well. I forgot to write the cue card again, so I'll come back next week with everything written down.
All good.
I'd like to thank all the folks for watching, y'all for broadcasting, all the folks in the race for putting on a good show. I was expecting many more cautions, and we only got about 3 or 4, so it's always a good sight.
Oh, ye of little faith. I'm just kidding. Congratulations, Aaron Smith. Man, go celebrate that victory, and we'll catch you next week.
10-4. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, Chris, that was a great race. It came down to the last 3 or 4 laps. We weren't sure if Aaron Smith was going to be able to make that final charge from 12th all the way up to the lead in 20 laps or so on Randy Bechtel. I know Randy was looking for that hometown win tonight, that Pennsylvanian driver. Great finish by all drivers. We saw several drivers have issues early on in the race. I know we saw Josh Ward, Scott Tompkins get together. We saw Tony Caputo have issues. We saw Lee Campbell, Chris Blassie have issues. Several drivers found themselves on the wrong side of Lady Luck tonight, but several drivers ended up having really good finishes over the course of the evening, kind of working their way up through the field. Just taking a quick look at those drivers in the final running order for tonight. Obviously, we've heard from our top 3. Scotty Sobczak, honorable mention in 4th. Chris Pearson, 5th. Jeremy Gardner got that Sim Racing Concepts machine all the way up to 6th. After starting in 7th position. Dan Rowe moved up 7 positions in 7th. Scott Tompkins, Chris, biggest mover of the night, up from 30th all the way to 8th, finishing inside the top 10. We saw him all night long looking like he was just barely hanging on.
He was in the middle of it for about the first half of the race. When that caution came out and got him his track position, thought that was a big break for him because when he was back there in that traffic, it seemed like he was faster than what his position was showing. He was just in a big mess and he couldn't escape it. But yeah, great charge for him, up 22 spots from a 30th position for a nice 8th place finish.
Yeah, really good run by Scott Thompson. Chase Berry, Chris, there was a moment there with about 10 to go where I was wondering if Chase Berry was going to find himself up the front with those fresh tires. He really kind of seemed to stall out once the newness wore off those tires just a little bit. But still, really good finish, up from 22nd all the way to 9th. Josh Ward, we mentioned him having a run-in with Patrick Colby. He's going to come out on the better end of that, finishing in 10th position, cycling over there to the 11th through 20th. Wesley Pistol, I know he probably not going to be happy with that 11th place finish, but much better than what he did last week. I'm just looking on the running order where he finished last week. I remember he had issues. Finished 24th, so a much better second race for the Season 6 campaign for the driver of that UT Ford F-150. About called it a Taurus. James Danforth, 12th. Great run for him. And then Evan Pienta. I know it's going to feel like 13th, kind of an uneventful night for Evan, but I think bringing out our first caution, we saw him loose much of the evening.
Yeah, he was, and he made a nice little recovery right there from his spin, but yeah, it seemed like he struggled with looseness. Maybe he was just pushing that truck a little bit harder than what it could take, and I noticed the tires would get hot, and it seemed like he would just struggle, to try to cool them down from that point. James Danforth, you mentioned it, great charge up through the field from that 31st starting position, up 19 spots for a 12th place finish. Kyle Dewey had a great qualifying run and has a really solid finish tonight. He was up in the top 15 for most of the night, so a good run for him. Jay Leach rounding out the top 15 right there. Jay Haishman with a nice charge up from the 29th position, gaining 13 spots to finish 16th. We saw Matt Kuntz earlier. He's running that high side a few times. He's going to finish 17th. Brady Floyd, that pit strategy did not quite work out in his favor. He did not get the timely caution that he needed, and he's going to bring it home in 18th. Johnny Rapp, a really quiet night out of the driver of the Mission Barbecue Chevy. He's going to bring it home in 19th. And Nick DeCesare, our Sim Racing Concepts driver of the race, is going to finish in the 20th spot.
Yeah, Johnny Rapp is one that has surprised me, Chris, just early on in the season. 2 races in, a 9th place finish and a 19th place finish. I think he's probably going to be a little bit frustrated with that, but there is plenty of time. We know that we've got a new chase, that the top 12 drivers will make the final 5 kind of race playoff to a degree. So there's still time for Johnny Rapp to get back in it just 2 races in. Ryan Hinkle, good run, solid top 21 finish for Ryan Hinkle. Raymond Hanneman of that 85 finishes 22nd. Chris Blassie, we know he was involved in one of those later cautions in the race, finishes 23rd. And then pretty much everyone else behind Chris, I know for sure, had issues at some point or another. Sean Johnson, we saw that unfortunate mistake down pit road where just a little bit too much rear brake dialed in and spun it out. I believe he had trouble entering his pit stall as well. Thomas Coonan finishes 25th. He had issues involved in a caution. Caputo, I believe were they involved in the same incident?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Caputo
and Coonan.
Yeah, Caputo and Coonan got together, and our race controller, Sam Maxwell, gave the EOL to Tony Caputo. I think I called it a racing deal, but I think that's a fair penalty. It looked like Caputo missed the bottom slightly. Wasn't anything malicious or anything like that. And those 2 guys just kind of made some contact, and that kind of derailed their nights.
Absolutely. So looking further through the field, just rounding things out, we know Justin Wilson had connection issues. Jacob Chase, we just didn't really see the speed we're used to seeing from him all night long. I saw Dan Berg sliding around the track a little bit, maybe got caught up in an incident. Paul Thomas finishes 30th. Larry Poling, we saw involved in a late race caution, finishes 35th. Brandon Waldrop, Chris, has just not had the luck. Got taken out on lap 1 last week. Got taken out in an incident. Still finishes just 2 laps down, sticks it out for 32nd. Jacob Bradley, internet connection issues. Steve Speece, 34th. Patrick Colby in that late race caution with Josh Ward finishes 35th. Lee Campbell, we're lucky to have him with us after that head-on collision with pit road entry, finishes 36th. And Patrick Toole out after just 22 laps tonight, finishes in the 37th position. Chris, it was a great race tonight. Lots of action on the track. I think it delivered everything we possibly wanted out there, including tight racing, a little bit of drafting. You know, we saw a couple of incidents due to close racing. This is a tricky track. They don't call it the tricky triangle for no reason, and they proved it out there tonight on track. Any final thoughts before we say farewell from the Pocono Mountains?
I kind of want to echo what Aaron Smith said. Really impressed with the small number of cautions that we had tonight. I thought the drivers did a great job all night. I thought that I saw a lot of really good, hard racing out there, but a lot of fair racing as well. So really liked what I saw on that front. Justin Wilson, Jacob Bradley, man, I feel their pain. Trust me, after last week, I really, really feel their pain. You cannot help. I know that they mentioned Jacob Bradley had power issue and Justin Wilson internet issue. Can't help those things. Those are just things that are going to happen. Think of those as your sim racing mechanical failures. They're going to happen over the course of the season. So if you do this long enough, feel for them, but they're going to rebound. They're going to be in this championship hunt right here. And man, what a drive from Aaron Smith. I did not think he had a chance, just being honest with you. I know how fast he is, but I did not suspect that he would be able to get up through the field like he was able to get up through the field there on those restarts. So really great drive from him. Congratulations to him on the victory tonight.
Absolutely. And next week, we're headed to a completely different track, a short track in the cornfields of Iowa for the Stage Break Podcast 200. You'll be hearing more about that later on this week in our social media on Instagram and Facebook. But for tonight, I think we'll leave it at that. Chris, Iowa is going to be a much different race. I think we're in store for some action under the lights in Iowa next week. Everyone tune in, same time. Like and subscribe to the video if you're watching live or watching the replay. We couldn't do it without you, all the fans, all of our partners. For Slingshot Racing League and the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance, I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith. So long, everyone, from the Pocono Mountains.